And it's Gordo here from Gordo's Games. I'm back with some more Digimon TCG content today. Today I'm bringing you a couple of deck profiles. I won't go too much into the details. I went to Gen Con this past weekend, Gaiomon, and I've just been brainstorming a couple of ideas for us. This is going to be a two-part deck profile. So let's get straight into it. So a little bit of a different setup. So we are doing straight from card.dev. Just purely because I don't have all the cards to hand at this point, and it does make it a little bit easier to get these things out to you in a better fashion. There is day. We'll start off with we run 5, 1 Coromon for the draw power, as well as just card, and then we run 4 of the buffer Coromon from BT9, Agumon in its name, 1000. The reason being is I have found in longer games you can deck out the amount of draw power you put in this deck with the sheer amount of X antibody cards and things like memory boost and that. So the 1k buff can come up with how the deck plays as well. We run 4 of the Searcher. It allows us just to search for a Greymon or an Omnimon and add it to hand. So you can potentially plus 2 cards out of this, which is a handy thing to have. And it can be played off things like Nokia. We run the Agumon X antibody. Once again, it's for more search capacity as well as more draw power, so we can argue and with Evo in this and recycle more and more cards. Or we play a Nokia out, and then an Evo on top of that for a further draw, whichever way it plays out. So reveal three cards from your deck, and 1 X antibody card, and 1 Greymon or Omnimon in its name in your hand. Once again, you can add a Greymon or an Omnimon off the back of this, so it allows a lot more consistency. Self-explanatory these two here, so we run this one for the 2k and it has Greymon in its name. Archetype we're running into is Greymon, so the majority of them get those. And then just the generic 1k buff, which means even if we go to Omni, it still receive this buff as well. So we run 14 level 3s. Moving on to level 4s, we run 11. So there we go. We run 2 of the Blackwargreymon. This can come up in some matchups just to try and slow down the kind of power they have. So let's say for example Armor Rush, they want to chip away little things, so this can be something just to slow them down a little bit, or even Imperial Jamon as well. If you've got the right stat where you're sitting there above their threshold so they can't pile Jamon to bottom deck you can sit there with a blocker ready to crash with their pile Jamon. We run 2 of the 2k buff Greymon, which buffs either Greymons or Omnimons as well. So it does apply to Omnimon at level 7. So 1 cost Evo, because if you Digimon off Agumon, you gain a memory back. All we have is Agumon. It's just makes it a little bit cheaper overall. And I think it doesn't Evo off one, I believe, is the X antibody. It does specifically say on the card if this Digimon has Agumon in its Digimon gain 1 memory. Whereas that one's called Agumon X antibody. I'm not entirely sure of that. We've got 4 of the Greymon X antibody. This means that we don't have to play into things like Delicate Plan, because it gives us a protection clause, always handy to have. So we run 4 of those. 3 of the Security Tech Greymon. We want to check through securities quickly. We are in no TK meta, so you have to try and keep pace with them. And this is where it kind of goes off a little bit from what you'd expect. So moving to level 5, we run 4 of the Metal Greymon. Reason being, this isn't more Grey X anti, this is side of things is playing a more control variant and progress as well as control, and this card does that hands down. Digivolve is a great mechanic because not a lot of things can stop it besides some hard casting things, so it allows us just to remove that potential top source they're at or take them down by 1 so we can swing over the top of them. Various different scenarios, as well as we can pop a 1000 DP or less. And then on top of that, if this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine Hit traits, you can attack an unsuspended Digimon. It means that even if Digimon are suspended, they're not safe from a swing. Even if we pass turn, we have got ways to swing as well. It allows that extra element of control. Moving on from that, Metal Greymon X Anti. This card is a big buff for red overall, especially with Metal Greymons. This Digimon gains Security Attack +1 when Digivolving. Obviously, if it goes off a Metal Greymon for 0. Then if this Digimon has Metal Greymon or X antibody in its cards, this Digimon gets +3000 DP until the end of your opponent's next. So not only does that give you a 3000 DB buff, that's retained until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you can sit there potentially with a 15 to 16k marker if you've got this underneath. Now you run a 1 of the piercing metal grey, because it can come up just the potential to pierce through something just to go for that, clear something out and get some effect and aggression out. At the same time, it has the one attacker when the Digimon attack, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 1000 DP or less. That can be relevant for your Imperial matchups, your Mass Day matchups, just to get rid of those set pieces. We run 3 Blackwargrey. This is your control aspect. Deleting Tamers, deleting Digimon. This allows for a versatility of plays. Very nice looking card, I'll have to admit. But yeah, just it really adds an element of control, and the fact it's got the all turn when an opponent's Digimon is defeated, you can unsuspend this Digimon. So if you can retain turn, Digivolve into this, you can delete Tamer. They have 2 Digimon out there unsuspended, you can swing into both of those. And it just gives you that little bit of a breathing space if you're able to do so. Alternatively, you can swing. One thing I do like to do with it is you swing once, then restand, and then you go into Gaiomon. This is our aggression, whereas Blackwargrey is the control. This is your aggression, as well as your safety as well. So you Digivolve for 2 of Blackwargrey. This is also treated as a Greymon as well, so you can reduce the dissolution cost of this card. Now, when Digivolve, if this Digimon has a black, one of your opponent's Digimon, Digivolve by 1. Digimon has a red Digivolution, 1 blip. So it means as long as we have red or black, which we will, because most of our deck is in some sort of fashion, we'll be able to de-Digivolve one of their bodies as well as blitz to swing over. If we have metal grey in stack, we can pretty much take out majority of stacks, but even when passing turn. So it's a very versatile card, and it's got a good amount of aggression purely because of the security attack +1 and reboot as well. So not only are we getting aggressive attacks out, what makes this, for me, what makes this card better than Wargrey ex ante is it's the safety it goes with. That reboot, being able to restand after you've done all those checks, can really pay off. Because if you tally up here, so far, if we go, so we've got a stack here for Ty, so 1 check from Ty, 2 check from Greymon, 3 from Metal Greymon, 4, 5. There is potential to get 5 checks off in one go, and then as you know, you can just blitz for game. Runs 2 for that reason. There is flexibility to run like an ex-ante. I have been trialing that has a couple of times, but I think so I'd probably go with 2 blitz going forward. After that, we run 3 red memory boosts. Consistency is key. Memory boosts are everywhere in this meta at the moment. My weekend Gen Con, I got sacked by so many coming out of security and them just establishing turns for your opponent. So very handy things to have. I like to fix your hand. 2 Taikamiya, memory reset, as well as security attack +1. It's always handy to have. If you don't feel you need this, you can run the hero if you want to get extra DP buff, but I think you have enough otherwise. And then we run 2 Nokia and 2 Cool. The Nokia allows us to reduce the distribution cost of a card with Greymon. And if you on play on this one, you can play an Agumon or Gopimon from your hand. So this works on Greymon and Garurumon. So it can be played in other decks like Garurumon as well, if you wish to do so. I feel it has a lot of synergy in this deck. It really does help, because blue has potential to gain memory by a hammer spot, very consistent with cards, whereas red is quite heavy on cost. So this really does help retain turn. And then same for Cool Boy. Build top 3 cards. Oh, X antibody in its trade. Option card antibody. It traits them to your hand and then play bottom of your deck and then at your turn, when one of your Digimon Digivolves to a Digimon of the same level, X and its traits, you may suspend this to draw 1 card. So it allows us just to gain that additional bit of memory, draw some more cards, so we can potentially go up into a bigger piece. What it tends to be is the case of you get to 4, hopefully you got a tie out at this point and a memory boost. You raise out, go the Metal Grey, down their stack slightly, go into this Metal Grey, suspend your Cool Boy, gain a memory, go into the Blackwargrey, depending on how much memory we're left. You can do it without passing turn, great. Tamer, or the Digimon that's left there if you've Digivolved it out enough. or not. If not, you swing into that Digimon, unsuspend, and then you go into Gaiomon to push for a load of checks. That generally tends to be the combo you're going for. And for me, that's Gaiomon Rush. And I think, generally speaking, this deck can beat an OTK meta. Just a matter of finding the right pieces. Because obviously, things like this are more of a preference card. It's a very good card, but understandably, the 4 cost can be quite overall costly. Ends up to slow things down. Definitely a deck worth considering. On the flip side of this one, I have another deck which is Gaiomon Control. Here now. So our ratios run 5 Diamers, 14 rookies, 11 champions, 8 level 5s, 6 level 6s, and 1 level 7, and then 4 tamers and 6 hunters. So we'll start with the eggs. So we run 3 Contender, 2 Pagamon. The Pagamon is just potentially to add a bit more draw power to the deck. It doesn't have to draw as much as red does, or blue, or any other colour. Black really struggles with draw power. And the Contender is really there because Black's eggs are kind of garbage. They really are. There isn't a great deal of eggs suitable in all characteristics. Like this one, for instance, so I've gone with Reboot. The top end aiming to usually go into is this one, which does have Reboot and Traditional. Otherwise, it's just there as yellow black half the time. Moving into our rookie lineup, this is where it kind of varies out a bit and adds a variation of control to it. Run 3 Trumon, Memory Blocker, good in the X anti-magic, anything that wants to inherently gain like blue as well. We run these to try and stall out and stop them from going for their big OTKs and pass the turn back to us. With the fact OTKs are so relevant this meta, Chikori is massive, and once again Digivolve is a very crucial thing, and if this comes out of security, it can potentially change the entire tempo and what you've got in raised or on board. We run a single Argon. Now, as an unreal Gaiomon, you'd think we'll run this. Don't run enough targets. As you can see here, Greymon, Metal Grey, and these pieces. I can't add a good variation to this slot. I've only put it as a one of. We run 3 Tape Monk. This can be added off the tame that we run. But while this one has 2 or more colours, it plus 1000 DP. So we run a lot of 2 colour things, and that 1000 DP, and it's all turns as well. And there is a blocker, for instance. We can see there is a 4 block. We run 4 Siluriza. While it's on board, your Digimon 13,000 DP or more. If it's inheritables, if you're at 13,000 or more, you get secure attack plus 1. So it allows us to put a bit more aggression on. We run 2 Nanimon. This is really just for a security hit and a very cheap cost level 4. If it comes from security, say in a position where you're at board, because you need the one last swing or anything like that, it's there for that reason. We run 3 Greymon Locker because we're not as OTK pushing as the red. We do need to stop overall aggression. So we look to run at least 3 blocks. Now, one of the best cards in the deck, Deltamon, the main effect that we use it for is when the Digimon Digivolve into a Digimon with composite in its traits or multiple colours, reduce that by 2. So what that means is any of my dual colour things above level 4 are 2 by 2. So Metal Grey becomes 2 cost, Mega Jump becomes 2 cost, even Chimera becomes a 2 cost. So it allows for very extended plays, because if you have a hero down, say you've got a Deltamon, raise out, go Metal Grey, and then go straight into a Blackwargreymon to be a tamer turn. It allows for a good amount of control. And also to go with that, depending on your matchup, I haven't seen it in very lot of matchups where it's come up, but you can delete it for every colour that's in this Digimon's colour. You can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 or less. This is good for Armor Rush, Imperials, like that, or they now just excessively low cost, low DP things. If it was 4,000 DP, this would be nuts, but 3,000 is Run Cyclemon just purely because it's a dragon kid, so we can add it off the other, as well as it's dual coloured again, attack beam, and can delete a 2000 DPS. So this one comes up very rarely and could easily cut different places, but trying to find one else to play. Questionable Blackwargreymon the blocker. Moving on from that, Metal Grey. As you know earlier in the Gaiomon Rush deck, same principle there. Just adds FD element control and slows down your opponent whilst you increase yours. Megajamon. When Digivolve, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with Digimon or Tamers with a play cost of 3 or less. So you can delete Tamers or Digimon with it. And then you can do the same when it's inheritable is triggered. So when attacking, the Digimon has a machine or dragon in its trait, delete one of your Digimon or Tamers with a play cost of 3. We'll get words out today. I can use it, I promise. But this is good against those matchups. Let's say, for example, security control. You'll note that half the time you'll see security control will play into the aspect of, let's say, yellow-purple, for instance. So they'll always have an off-color tamer to set up some of their other option cards. Like say, for example, purple Karis on Mimis. This allows you to get rid of those things, which can generally stop a lot of your opponents. Like say, for example, let's say they've got purple Kari and yellow egg. They go to play Flame Hell Scythe, can't do confusion purple Kari, or they use a Chaos Degradation. Once again, the same principle. But if you pair this with Blackwargreymon, you can delete up to 9 cost worth of Tamers. Obviously, the Megajamon you can't split, it is just 3 costs because 3 costs doesn't split across any of the Tamers because there's no 1 cost Tamers. But you can split the grey ones. I have done it before where I deleted a Kari with this one, so 3 cost Kari, gone straight to grey and delete. So you can get some good amount of value. Because those cool boys, things like that, really do set up those plays. Our Chimera is in here. If we do get a position where we can go a little bit wider and we have 2 level 4s, we can go into it to try and get another inheritable underneath, make this that little bit more threatening. But realistically, it's there mainly for the concept of it's still a 2 cost Evo, but we can just add a source. Even Evo in normally with this card, if a Deltamon's underneath it, still allows you to stack a source into it that's potentially relevant. Something like Blackwargreymon to ended. Or even delete a tame if you really need. And then finally going to level 6s here. Same lineup as the Rush deck. I feel like this is the right ratio. In this one, if I was going to go one, it'd be the Black Grey, and the other deck, Gaiomon. Just based on how those work out. Run a Blitz Omni here. This can be a variation of things, what you feel like you're missing in the deck. Just put Omni in here because Omni for game is just it's always a handy thing to do. But Death X Bomb for that bit of control, DD Devolve the board, deleting Dig, unless it gets dealt with, things like that, it can be quite relevant. And then we run 2 Black Members, search, adding cards, gain 3, just generally helping fix your hand. The option card in this one, haven't really decided the best way to go. Dark Gaia Force I put at this point possibly would look to go with it, maybe a split between and this, or possibly just 4 Ultimate Flares. Now in an OTK meta, it doesn't always mean build the Ultimate Flare, but it can disrupt their stack enough where they may not be able to build up again and do what they actually want to do. So, and it gets around things that have deletion clauses where they can't be deleted. For example, the Greymon X-Ante, X-Ante with the Dark Grey, various different things. And then we run 2 Maki. This one is reveal the top 3 cards you add one Gaiomon on 2 color black Cardamom in your hand, place the rest of the bottom of your deck. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolve into a 2 color black Digimon, and this team is reduced to Digivolution card. So it allows to cheapen a lot of our Evos, like a Nokia, for the cards. And it just generally opens up a lot of plays, and that obviously it fixes your hand. It is a searcher. And then finally run 2 heroes. The reason for the 2 heroes, you can make these times if you want to be a bit more aggressive. We are playing control and we want to make sure our DP is enough over certain bodies, because we don't have massive DP. Yeah, we have Gordo and the Tape one. outside of that, we are hitting our base damage. So heroes can help fix that scenario. But overall, those are the decks. That is the Gaiomon Rush deck, and this Gaiomon control deck. By all means, if you do enjoy these deck profiles, don't forget to leave a comment down below with which one you liked. If you did try the deck, I'm interested to see how you got on with it. And if you've got any feedback on the deck, by all means. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications so you know when this content goes live for you. And thank you for tuning into Gordo's Games, aka Legion TCG.